Welcome. welcome to welcome to ODDITs. Right, here it is. It's welcome to ODDITs, off-duty driving instructor trainers. We're here. We've got loads of wonderful people also, but it's Terry, Ian, and me. We're the major part of the ODDITs. We're the oddest. Everyone else who's here, thank you guys for coming. Today's subject. Why don't you bin reference points? So, Ian.
Hello.
What's a reference point?
A reference point is a lazy instructor's best friend.
And the other thing I'd like to say is, if anyone is offended, Ian's telephone number is 07.
It's on the back there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was guessing with the 07. Yeah. Please remember, if you are watching this, that there's likely to be a bit of language and a bit of content that might be a little bit adult. So we beg your forgiveness for that. Driving in lazy driving. Terry,
You try to throw me under the bus, I'll dodge it.
Terry, have you got any thoughts about making that any less unpleasant?
What, a lazy instructor's favourite weapon, or whatever Ian said. Well, I'm trying to figure out a way of saying it. My thoughts and reference points without swearing. And I think Ian calling it the lazy instructor's favourite tool, or whatever. What do you call it?
I can't remember. I don't remember the words that drop out of me gob.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The word lazy.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Well, you know what? It comes back to us again, the trainers. Because someone must have taught the instructors to do this for a start.
I was going to say, because that's why I learned them. I had to learn them. I didn't do them. It was something. No, you have to, because apparently people can't find out their own way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's if you're watching last week, guys, it's up there with my hatred of
Everything.
cockpit drill and all that stuff.
Oh, well,
so it's right up there. It's totally not needed at all. If you are one of the instructors in this country, if you're out there, people, and you think you have to use reference points because otherwise they don't know what to do, please listen some more. Because the reference point should be the absolute last resort.
Yeah, I agree.
There are other ways.
Absolutely. So what is a reference point? No one's asked me my opinion, but I think the other opinions are so strong here. It is a subject that we're all quite keen on. I think during my training, I had to learn them, and I found it really difficult. I think I spoke a couple of times about where during these ODDITs things where I've messed people up because I've given them reference points. So I found out the hard way, and I've had a lot of self-reflection and a lot of guilt because I just assumed that the people that taught me how to do my job were the experts and knew what was going on. But anyone who's a little bit older,
I'm not admitting it.
Yeah.
All right, we can tell.
Keith, when we learnt to drive, did anyone teach us parallel parking?
No.
So
wasn't in the test.
How did we? No, it wasn't in the test. So how did we learn to do it? It wasn't with a reference point, and it wasn't with someone explaining it.
It was with my wife-to-be and 3 friends in the car that I couldn't parallel park at the theatre.
I thought you were going to say you couldn't park in the woods for a minute then.
Yeah.
No, not with the 3 friends in the back, no.
Yeah. So what is a reference point? Now, we're doing one of my pet hates, which is where we're just talking about, even us talking about it, where we're talking about, and we tend to assume all reference points are with maneuvers. and I've done it myself, but reference points, would you agree, everyone else, that reference points are elsewhere in our driver training?
Far too many places. I
I
even include tyres and tarmac crap as well in this as well. The
ties,
2 second rule and stuff. I include that in reference points.
yeah, turning right. Line of this up with that when you're turning right. That's a brilliant bit of road safety, isn't it?
It don't make no
That you're
sense,
looking at
Fiona.
where your wing mirror is, where the white line is, so you're not actually looking at what's coming towards you.
But
From
not
either
only
road.
that, eh?
You're not looking into either road when you're
No,
looking through your door mirror.
exactly. And your hands will follow your eyes. So you're going to drive closer to oncoming cars, and you're not going to see it because you're looking at the blooming wing mirror.
That
So,
must be a
Well,
silent in Bloomin', is it?
yeah, reference points. There are
Look,
some things that help, that are strategies, aren't there? Like,
got any on the top of your head, top of your tongue, tip of your tongue?
I was talking about this with a certain person called Sarah. This was weeks ago, but there's something like, how do you know if you've gone far enough past a car on a motorway or dual carriageway to know if it's safe to pull in? But it's hard being able to count 2 second rule or knowing what that kind of distance is behind you, isn't it? So
It is, but I think, despite my opening remark, everybody, we all use some kind of referencing to be safe, whether it's active or passive. We know where we are, and what we need to do is put the car in. Reference points are great if you're not teaching reference points.
okay.
If we use the distance from the curb one, if we make sure the car's in the right place and get the pupil to identify how they can recognize that, that's just a reference point dressed up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Now, I don't see any problem with that because I'm not telling them what to look for. They're figuring out themselves where they are in relation to the car and where the car is in relation to the curb. But that's not how everybody teaches reference points. I've been in cars with lines drawn on the roof lining, marks on windows,
Little bits of tape.
On the windscreen, on the wind. What's that round thing called?
Steering wheel. Oh, yes, a little bit of tape on the steering wheel. Yeah.
Oh, the other one that I don't understand that one at all. Something to do with the windscreen wiper blades.
Oh, you mean Darth Vader's helmets?
I've never looked.
Have you not?
My biggest issue
Bless you.
with reference points. Bless you, whoever. Who sneezed? Was it Ian?
Yeah, you said issue.
Is let's take the obvious ones for a moment. And that's the maneuvers. If you are teaching using reference points, there is another way for a start. But if you're teaching using reference points, what is the person learning to do? Are they learning to do the maneuver? Or are they learning to do the maneuver so they can pass the test and be more consistent for test? Or are they following a set of instructions? Or are they learning how to do the maneuver? That's my biggest problem with it. And then they'll follow the reference points because that's the way they've been taught, because the instructor doesn't know there's a different way. And they'll pass their test and they'll pass with that maneuver because they followed the reference points and fam dabidoza, they passed. But then they go and drive a different car. and the reference points aren't the same anymore. And so they go and do the parking like they were taught, and now they can't get into the space because they're parallel parking on a van, for instance, and not on a normal sized car.
Oh, we know a
And then
story
they
about that,
think,
don't we, Jan?
what?
Jan knows a story about that one.
Absolutely. You've just summed up every single driving test I've ever failed.
So then these poor people, they go away and they give up because they can't do it. And so we've got a population of drivers, and we all know people like this. We've got a population of drivers who can't parallel park. Or they can't get into a bay. We've all been to car parks where there's cars on white lines. Now, yeah, it might just be careless. Actually, they might not actually be able to parallel bay park because the things have changed. Their cars have changed. Or not all spaces in car parks are the same width. And that two-line steer now, shit, can't say anything else, sorry, doesn't work now. And now they can't get into a bay. So what are they actually learning by following reference points?
I don't know.
As Facebook says, rant over.
I don't think it is. Does anyone else not believe him? I don't think it's. You just start again in a minute.
And don't get me started on tyres and tarmac.
The other thing, we'll get you started in it shortly. The thing is, when people do, when this gets to that, do the full lock of the here of the undertake of the, it where you actually say, does anyone do that for driving forwards?
Good point, young Taylor.
Steering forwards is just steering forwards. Don't hit the curb, please. Don't hit the oncoming cars. Can you please, just learn it? Well, why don't we let people go backwards? The only difference is you're going backwards. And it can be a bit more awkward because people mirror it and whatever. But we don't let people learn something. They
learn in spite of us.
Well, it sounds awful, and I deliberately use this phrase to sound awful, but we're just grooming behaviour.
Sounds awful.
That sounds very much like prosecution to me.
But we don't care what happens after they've done the thing. We're just preparing them to do the thing. We're not teaching them about it, when to use it, when not to use it.
I think this is the mistake, because when our trainers were trying to get us to do the job, maybe for success, because people want success quickly. I remember not wanting to have too many reference points.
Yeah. And we are, like we all know, we are born helpers. And we want to help the most easiest, make things as easy as we can for people. But actually, in the job that we do, and the why we do it, the road safety aspect, I don't think reference points are helping one little bit.
Can I tell my story again? Probably loads of you have heard it before. Can I do my own story about my learning reversing around a corner?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, go. Yeah.
Well, because it went on, and 10 years later, I found out where this reference. Anyway, so I was learning to drive, and the instructor said, so in a minute, I'm going to get you to do reverse around the corner. What I'd like you to do is keep the and lining up with the quarter light. La 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 la. Quarter light. And I was like, I couldn't see any light. I looked high and low for this light. I looked high, low on the back seat. I could not find any light outside or inside the car. Keep the thing with the quarter light. And and then he said that question to me. You know, that question we all get asked when we're learners. Do you understand? And I thought to myself, in my shyness, as a little kid, I wasn't a kid, but do you understand? And I said, yeah. I didn't have the guts, and I was thinking, oh well, when I mess it up, he'll explain it again, and I can find out where this stupid light is. So I did the reverse. I did it. I nailed it because I just stayed close to the curb, you know. I just reversed the car around close to the curb. And then he said, "Good, we'll do that again next week." And off we go. And I never found out where this light was until 10 years later, standing in the kitchen of Wellcroft Close, Wellcroft Close, in the city, my dad said, "Quarter light window." And I said, no, rewind a bit. Quarter light window. What is this quarter light thing? He said, the little tiny square triangular window in the back of the old cars, a little flappy one. And that's what he was talking about. So the reference point he was talking about, I found out 10 years later. And I stamped about the house because I didn't even know. However, I've reinforced my driving instructor's opinion that reference points work really well because I was too shy, too timid. I don't know what I was. I wasn't this me. I had dark hair.
I had that once as well.
Yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
Well, yes, I think you should.
Woo! Just for those ADIs, PDIs who are watching, listening.
They've turned off.
We haven't turned off yet. Yeah. Well, I use reference points. What else am I meant to do? I don't know any other way.
They
That's
don't
my
get it.
ADI
Don't
and
get
PDI
it.
voice.
Yeah.
So what do you do instead?
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Ian's
Then
answer.
I'm dancing. Sorry.
Don't do that again. Please don't make those movements again.
Why not?
Have you got
You're
an
only
answer?
jealous. You're
Yeah.
only jealous.
I know. You in your Inca jumper.
Well, yes. It was either this or a crusty old thing I've been lounging about in the house in all day.
So, Terry, do you want to give us the answer, or do you want?
No, I'm the devil.
Oh, the devil.
Advocate.
How do we do it instead?
How do
Ian,
you do it instead? What could I do instead? Ian Miller.
Well, you work on spatial awareness and awareness of where they are and where they're going.
we just, just get people to stop and have a look at where they are.
It's
you're
like
going to hit
Fiona said, don't hit the curb, don't hit the lines, don't hit the car behind you.
But also getting out.
So hang on, if I've understood you right, instead of reference points, we just let them have a play and have a go at it and work it out for themselves.
So you have to loom up towards the camera when we answer you. That's right, Terry.
But they don't know what to do. How can they do that?
Well, it's a bit like me reversing around the corner. It's a bit like me reversing around the corner, wasn't it? I just had a go and I nailed it first off. So, divvy little Fiona. But so what if you did it wrong? So what if you end up not in the space? As long as there's no car that you're inside now.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, sorry to interrupt, Fiona, if Vicky's got a sun in her eyes or whether she got a question.
I didn't see.
Use your sign language.
Sorry.
You will be. Don't do it again.
I'm going to throw in two questions and then I'm going to unmute myself again. So first one, if you've asked them how they want to learn something, which Terry's probably going to tell me not to do in the first place, but if you say, how would you like to learn it? They've said, I want to learn to do X today. And you say, how do you want to learn it? And they say, I want you to talk me through. Do you include the reference points? That's question one. And second one, if they've had a play, and then you go, okay, so tell me what you did and tell me how you're going to remember for next time. If they're coming up with a way to remember themselves, would you encourage that? So that's my second question.
First question you can answer yourself, Vicky. Go on.
You know how some people have got really rubbish memories. What was the first question, Vicky? I seriously have forgotten the first question.
You can answer it herself.
If you ask them how they want to learn, do you include reference points?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because normally, you know, you'll get the ones that have sat and watched the video and, oh, what did it say on that video? And where am I supposed to line up and all that jazz? So would you tell them, because I don't like telling them the reference point for all the reasons that you've already said, but when they're asking me full talk through, then I'm like, you're asking me to guide you. So there's that one. And then if they come up with their own way,
stop there, because I'll forget it again. Yeah, you talk them through it. You don't need to mention reference points.
You don't mention reference points.
So you know we're here now. So right, let's steer left, a bit more, stop. Now we're here. Now stop.
Yeah. Okay.
So they see this. In my head, I've got parallel park. I'm talking about this.
Yeah.
So they see the shape the car makes. They see how the angles work and what it looks like. It gives them like a video movie of what should happen, and they just right. Now your turn.
So you don't mention reference points on that. What about then if they've had a go and you say to them, what went well or lined up really well? Okay, how are you going to remember that for next time? If they're finding their own reference point.
Why have they got to remember it?
Okay.
Because you're
so just what went well.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah. No, well, because humans don't work as a reference point.
No.
How do you know when you're writing your letter A that it's not going to turn into a D?
Yeah.
you
Because
seen figures handwriting, Fiona?
Shocking.
Isn't it?
Shocking abuse.
It is. It is abusive. But we don't do reference points ourselves. The only time that we ever start to think about them is when we try and help someone else.
Yeah.
So how did that feel? I think go for the feeling. Sorry, Terry. What? Go for the feeling. How did that feel? Yeah, it's all right. Brilliant. Just acknowledge the feeling.
Okay. Yeah.
And then just gauge how they react to that.
Because I do find that, like, I can remember one last week where, you know, we had a go, and when we finished it, I was like, how did that feel? How did that go? Oh, it was all right, but I think I needed to steer earlier so that I wasn't so. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, but after the whole thing, as an overview,
exactly.
You know, because you nailed it.
And of course, some people are really open-minded to that, and they're quite willing to have a go because they know you've got their back. You know, they know you're. You know, I might have said, "Oh, I'll do all the checking around for everything else. Just have a go at the manoeuvre." So they know they haven't got a fuss about anything else.
Yeah.
And then that works. But then there are some that are like, "Oh no, I don't want to try it on my own because I'm now doing something different."
Right, I'm going to hold you there.
Yeah.
Who wants to go for it, Terry or Ian? Why don't people want to just have a go? Why do our people in that driver's seat want us to give them reference points?
One reason is they're scared of getting it wrong, and that goes back a little bit to do with contracting, maybe rapport. You know, and it just might be his personality. Some people just don't want to get anything wrong. But they've got to understand that, like, you know, it's a learning experience. To learn something, you've got to get it wrong. You've probably got to get it wrong first.
What is wrong and wrong?
Yeah.
There's touching the car and there's banging a car. You know, there's wrong and wrong.
You know, like Fiona said, they hit the curb. Okay, what did you learn? What did that feel like? What were you thinking at the time? Okay, let's have a quick chat about it. Okay, what are you going to do this time?
Bay parking. Here we go. So what if they end up not in the bay? Who's ever done a bay park and not ended up quite in the bay in the middle where they wanted to be?
Every time I park.
But what's the problem with keep wiggling about?
I'm a
Ian
world-class
showed us
wiggler, me.
earlier. You're not allowed to do it again, Ian, because Terry found it, I don't know, erotic.
What, wiggling?
I
And that's
think,
only the top half
I
moves
think
that you can
disturbing was
see.
the word.
Oh,
Disturbing.
disturbing. I
Ooh,
your reaction
ooh,
disturbing, Terry.
Does that help, Vicky? Did it answer your question? Cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's getting also, Vicky, just watch the person as you look at them nailing it, and then just say, you nailed it. How does it feel nailing it? Do you see what I mean? Just recognize when you can tell. You can tell. Ian, going back to your thing with the curb,
yes.
because some people give this thing about where is the right distance from the curb to park, and I don't know. I just say, is that too far for you or too close, or what is too close or what is too far? Because it's different on different road, isn't it?
One of my learners used a quarter of a leg.
Sorry?
He used
Human
his
leg,
legs
chicken
to
leg,
measure his
what leg?
distance from the curb.
Whose leg?
A leg.
Me learner used to use the length of his leg to judge his distance from the curb.
Were you teaching Inspector Gadget? How's that
Well,
work?
well, I don't know because it wouldn't work for me with my little stumpy legs. But this
How's
fellow
he
was
get his
about
leg
6
out your
foot
door? Have I
What?
misunderstood?
No, he doesn't stick his leg outside the door. He was struggling with where he was on the road. We got out, we had a look. I says, how far is that? He went, oh, that's a couple of legs. I says, how far do you want to
Yeah.
be? He says, oh, no more than a leg, I think. So we just worked on legs.
I understand now. That's why he wasn't Inspector Gadget. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
I
God.
mentioned as
I've
part
got
of the
another
risk
question.
management, of course, we can't open the door and stick our leg out because it's on the wrong side anyway.
Oh, that's true. It's true. Right, got
What?
Terry or Ian. Have you got your own reference points for any of your maneuvers when you drive a car, forwards or backwards or anything elsewards?
I have, yeah. It starts with what can I see and where do I want to be?
Oh, smart ass.
My dad made a thing in his garage. He put a cotton reel on a bit of string, just lined it up so this because he wanted to get as much as he could in there. So when the cotton reel touched the windscreen, he stopped.
Yeah. My ex father-in-law did that. He had a tennis ball hanging from the string in the garage, and when the tennis ball touched the windscreen, that's how he knew that's how I'm going to stop because it's a very tight fit. And the first time I saw it, I said to him, "Do you know how swing ball works?" I thought, what the hell is that there for? You loon? Oh dear.
So probably I'm just asking you guys, you don't have to answer if you don't wish to, but just wondering, do any of you have reference points for your own driving? Because it's something that we invent for our industry, and I don't think we had them for ourselves. You might do something if you've got a weird driveway, where you have to do something but that's just to make it easier, and because you can park, just looking for something.
Alex had his hand up earlier, didn't you, Alex? Or have we resolved it? Or have you just got bored?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Sorry, I haven't fallen asleep.
Thank you.
I didn't have my hand. I didn't have my hand up, but if you want to ask us a question, I'll try and answer it.
Oh God.
Ooh.
I mean, to be fair, just as an aside, some of the stuff that's mentioned is probably everything that I was doing when I was part of a national driving school. and it wasn't working.
Mm.
And I think, I mean, to be fair, the lad that I've just had there, like the parallel, where I know how as a PDI I would have done that lesson, and it would have very much been like one-to-one method, you know, big turn left, 2 big turns right, all that. Whereas today it was just like the lad was like, I've seen stuff on TikTok, YouTube, whatever. I think I can give it a go. And it was almost guiding him where he needed it, but it wasn't perfect. Like we ended up like, you know, quite a ways from the curb. But then obviously we then worked out, well, how would he get closer to the curb and what he would need to do with his steering. And obviously he knows me, but yeah, like if the way that I'd done my training previously was just very scripted. And me as a person, I was a school teacher before I came into the industry. So the fact that I was able almost to sort of utilize that a little bit, and I suppose for the learners, really just, you know, some people are very creative, and I've had people in the car that said, I think I know how to do it. I'm just going to use the target car in the case of, say, a parallel. I think if I use that target car, I think I should be able to get it in, and I have. But yeah, all the things I have been listening, so I haven't been going to sleep, honest. But all the stuff that, to be honest, Ian knows me tick list, and I'm thinking, all the things that have been mentioned were everything that I was doing, because it was almost where that's how my initial PDI training was.
Exactly.
You know, and I seen the light, and I left, and I sort of not to increase Ian's ego anymore, but obviously Ian didn't help us.
No, feel free.
But no, I can read. I think it's almost where, like people are sort of coming into the industry where you get all these packages, and it's almost where because it's written down or it's in a script, that's how you must do it.
Yeah.
And there's so many different ways of like teaching someone, you know. And but I'm still here. But I'm going to shut up now.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but you know, very often, and you said you were in education before, and you kind of give people room to play in other industries. Would you agree, Alex?
It's almost where, you know, obviously, I mean, I was secondary, but you'd almost, you know, at the end of the day, it's like a learning experience when they're kids, where, you know, I was a history teacher, but you allow them to get stuff wrong in their writing, and then obviously through marking and feedback, they reflect on it and improve it. And it's almost where I think in teaching you can provide kids with like a scaffold of, you know, this is what a good one looks like. You know, this is my answer to that question. It's a model answer. But I suppose it's like when a learner might want us to maybe give a demonstration or something like that, where it's almost, this isn't perfect, this is how I might do it, but then what do you think? And I must admit, most of the clients that I have now, to be honest, they don't actually want a demonstration, they just want to do it, they just want to try it. But I don't know if that's because of my approach is different now, where I'm almost I'm not bringing in that script of we need to do the one-to-one method here, sort of thing, and they'll know that I'll obviously help them if they ask for it. But and I think a sense of accomplishment when they've actually, like the lad just before there, he obviously realised that like his steering, he was just oversteering, and he'd figured it out, and it wasn't by all means perfect, but then we know then come next lesson, which is tomorrow, we'll have another crack at it, and he's probably going to get more accurate with it, you know. But definitely,
I've got an analogy, Alex. Do you want my analogy?
Well, I don't know, I think with this industry, I think it's almost where I think the thing that surprised me was coming into it was more the fact that I was surprised by some of the training, but how almost formulaic it was. In driving isn't formulaic. Like it's you've got to adapt as a driver, and we've got to do all that. And I suppose, and I don't know. I think it's almost where you've got to be, I think, creative with it. And like, I mean, I've been sort of, you know this, like I've been qualified. I've been nearly 2 years now, but like I'm still learning on the job, like massively, and reflecting on it. And I know some of the things that we've said tonight, I'm thinking, oh, I might still do that now and again, or
always looking
to be fair, me and Ian, we're hopefully meeting up soon, so I'm sure you'll be able to tell us all that. So
thank you, Alex. The analogy I had was, remember in your maths when you're doing your maths things, working it, and if you show your workings, you still get loads of points. It's not about getting it right. And I think really driving's like that. Show us the workings and then sort it out. The correct answer or getting in first time, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Because we don't do it when we go to Asda or Tesco's or Waitrose or wherever you shop. You notice where you are. You think, oh, that's not going to be very easy for me to get out or them to get in. So you wiggle it about.
I just want to make the point before we move on, really important point. How come when I do my accent from the Northeast, you take the mickey and say it's crap, but when Alex does his accent from the Northeast, no one says anything?
Because we like Alex.
I think Ian actually knows where I'm from as well. So
Ian knows where everyone's from. He works it out from listening to the subtleties. And
Unfair.
I'm just responding to something that was written. Are they any good as a last resort? Ian, Terry, reference points as a last resort. What are your thoughts on that?
While Ian's thinking, Al Gore.
That's a rubbish accent.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I think I said earlier, as an absolute last resort. If it just doesn't make sense to someone, then you can use it, obviously.
It's just painful, guys.
Yeah, but they've got to find their own.
Yeah, I
You
think
can't
this
give
is
it to
one
them.
job where you can never say never.
Mm.
You know, there are things that you might not want to do, you might not like doing, but if it's what the person who's driving the car needs, at the end of the day, if it's going to help them get better,
They've got to find their own. You can't give it to them.
And you kind of tell them what to look for.
Yeah.
You can ask them what to see, but you kind of tell them what to look for.
I've got another version. I went for some archery training. You know,
Get to the point, will you?
With the weights on the sides. And he was talking about he, they, she, them. We're talking about, there was different people. And they were talking about the sights and how you do it. And I said, well, what are you looking for? So I was actually using my coaching skills saying, what are you looking for rather than what should I be looking at? So you find that you actually change it round. So I was manipulating my learning from saying, well, what do you see exactly when you look through? And I worked out from then, you know, I did good actually on that session. Lots and lots and lots of yellow ones. Lots of them.
I'm just going to ask the guys who are here, does anyone have anything they'd like to ask before we finish? Because I'm just a bit conscious of time. Or if you don't feel like speaking it, you can put it in the chat. Because, you know, the point of being here is so you can ask a question.
I'd love it. Sarah. Go on, Sarah.
Sarah. Sorry.
Well, because I was trained by your good self, Terry, I don't actually know what any of the reference points are. So just like that.
That's brilliant.
Like you were saying about a last resort, well, I don't have that as a last resort, which I'm from listening to everything, I don't think that's a problem. But like, I don't actually know, like when I don't know anything about reference points or what they are or what the 1-2-1 thing is or anything.
Okay, right. I just got to quickly give an example.
So lucky. You're so lucky.
I tell you what, I used to use 1-to-1 and I used to call it T-Mobile. That's how long ago I used it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's reference points. So a lot of instructors and PDIs and ADIs, they teach people to do stuff by lining things up. So when your wing mirror gets here, do half a turn of the wheel. When your wing mirror gets there, do another half the other way. And that would help them do maneuvers.
I get
so there's no
they are.
Huh?
I get the point. I get what they are, but what I mean is I wouldn't know in my car to say line that up with that, or I don't actually
Excellent.
know.
That's the whole point, because they have to find it.
You don't need a parachute when you're in a boat.
Okay, good.
Unless the boat's falling out of a plane.
Well, why would you get in a boat that's fallen out of a plane?
Ask Indiana Jones that. What is he doing in a boat jumping out of a plane? Thank you very much. So it does happen in real life.
I would like a vote.
Would you? Was that
Yeah,
a new
I'd like
kind
a
of
vote.
car?
I don't know how we do it.
Speak to the council about that, could I?
So I was just thinking, is there anyone here who's a fan of a reference point now that we've had a conversation about it?
I didn't hear anyone here who what? Sorry?
Anyone here who's a fan of a reference point? Is anyone here? Because I know Sarah isn't, but I was just thinking, because sometimes it's really hard because it's what we were trained to do, but it's really hard to do them when you're in the habit of them, because it seems like a quick fix to help someone, and we're all just trying to do exactly that. That's why we put so much effort in, and that's why we feel like we just want to say, turn now, turn, because we recognize it. But helping sometimes is actually not helping, and making the environment so they can make mistakes.
The trouble is, a lot of the videos that you tell them to watch have points, don't they? So
They're not to listen to them, Keith.
they're going to be looking at the videos, making their own points up, and they're going to come out and go, right, I've got this organised and know what to look for.
I tell you what, next time you do that, go find a motorbike that's parked up and ask them to parallel park on the motorbike. Or give them a small space to get into on the high street. Did your video help them? They ain't going to be able to do it. They follow those points, man.
Okay, Dad, love you.
They can, and that way they can see actually you're right. Because if I do park on a white van or a lorry or a motorbike or a Fiat, the tiny, what car have you got, Sarah? Fiat what?
500.
Fiat 500, tiny thing. Or if I'm parking on any a skip, they can see that actually, okay, yeah, that those reference points I've got off my Twitter feed don't work.
Or parking on the end bay when there's no line.
Help them see, Keith, that actually that's not a good idea.
No, but I think this is the thing. This is where you congratulate people for self-directed learning.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant. And then say, did it work for you?
Yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Joke.
Was it my video? Was it my right. Thank you, everybody. What I will say.
No questions. No questions, because everyone's turned up and only Sarah and Vicky and Alex.
I can't see any more on mine. My direct messages, Terry.
No, I can't. I haven't got any anyway. Any. Okay, I guess everyone's happy.
Send you one later. Okay. What I'd like to say is, if you are interested in the next one, which is 6:30 on the 10th, Monday the 10th, 6:30
February.
Audits do. Why don't you forget the fault? Forget the fault. Fault finding in all its joyful stuff. Focusing on the fault or not. I'm looking forward to that one. I look forward to all of them. But Terry will swear again.
I'm trying not to. I'm too immature.
Ian just insulted everyone straight away off the bat.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, all of you that were here. Thank you to those of you out there that are watching. And I'm going to click the button. If you're on there and you're Ian and Terry, strike a pose.
And Jesus Christ.